Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the CEO of Hemlane, Dana Dunford. How you doing, Dana?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Michael, on this holiday week.
Absolutely. No, I enjoy our conversations. It's a lot of fun. It's always fun to catch up every week now, but this is going to be different from our normal discussions where I'm actually going to turn it over to you and you're going to ask me some questions and dig for the root and all of that. So why don't you go ahead and take it over and we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, and the background for the audience here of why I want to ask Michael these questions is I've always been a product operations type person. And Michael, for most of you hopefully know this, one of the top best sales guys here in the Bay Area. And we think about it also here at Hemlane of, hey, we're going into a recession. What does that look like, at least for me personally? What do your financial forecasts look like? What does it look like to be selling when you're at a time where home prices are going down, potentially with SaaS software? So any software products out there, people have a less of a willingness to spend because their budgets have been cut year over year.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you still make those numbers? How do you make it work, and how do you sell in a recession? Because it's feast or famine is what
Yeah.
we heard in sales.
Yeah. It's first off, I'll just let you know it's no fun at all. You work I've done it twice. So again, my resume has three different SaaS products going from 0 to 100 million. So I've done it three different times at three different places. Very good at it. And that's both North America, worldwide team. So all over the world. That's why I traveled all so much and I hated every flight. I've been through two significant recessions that impacted tech, the Great Recession and the dot-com environment. I was at different levels of the organization, but as a finance guy, smart enough to pay attention to everything. So the first thing to realize is you've got to think about three different sales cycles. Now, let's be clear. You're more B2C, right? Business to consumer.
Yeah.
I
So
was
as
always B.
close.
I was always B2B, but I think you will be able to translate what I'm about to talk about to your world. First, new logo acquisition, right? Typically, I would have teams once we got to a certain rate. I would say, hey, you're new logos and you're farming, right? You take the install base and you go farm. You install base and you go hunt. New logo acquisition is going to be remarkably hard, right? In the last 2 years, I don't know what the ratio would be, but you would probably get 3 new logos for every add-on sale, right? It was easier to hunt.
Yeah.
Not going to be the case going forward. In fact, I would tell most software companies you have to change how you hunt, which is really hard because all salespeople have egos and they think they don't, they're better than everybody else, and they, whatever. It's just who they are. What I would tell you is you have to think about the market different. So one example is you could do a competitive, like one thing I did the second time was a competitive replacement. So we purposely went after our competitors and we offered crazy incentives to do replacements. Right. Because, hey, and again, what we would do is you're spending 20% maintenance on this perpetual software because this was perpetual going cloud. Let me show you how you can take those dollars, get more coverage and better stuff. And right, we made it a financial discussion. And instead of leading with IT, we would go to CFOs
Yeah.
going, hey, you're
Yeah.
doing this. You have a spend. Why are you getting hit for this? Blah, 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 blah. And we would start there. And then the CFO would go, okay, if you can get my tech guys to bless your software is at least as good, I'll go your direction. Right.
Yeah.
So again, maybe have a competitive replacement for some of your competitors, right? Himalayan's got some competitors, market competitive replacement
Yeah.
or, trials or something. Right. So that would be one thing. The other thing you're going to get, maybe not so much B2C, but in B2B is you're going to have customers go, hey, I'm going to make up a number, 100 licenses of X. I just laid off 10% of my staff. I only need 80. So let me give you back your 20, which is not something that software companies want. We don't return seats. But
Yeah.
what will happen is you'll have a maintenance discussion. Okay, great. You're not going to give me a partial credit, blah, 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 blah. but also I want to definitely reduce my license. I'm not going to renew 100. I'm only going to renew 80, something like that. So it's going to be hard. So you have to think about acquiring new logos different. You have to think about saving your install base different. That, farming will go from adding seats to saving seats,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then the last thing to talk about, because again, here, Dana, you're the CEO. One thing that will be amazing for you is you will be able to do bolt-on acquisitions, right? Either you get acquired or you acquire someone else over the next 2 or 3 years, because that's what's going to happen. We are going to have less software companies 2 or 3 years from now, and they're going to get bought for pennies on the dollar, maybe even with no cash, just whatever works out.
Yeah.
But you
Acquihire.
as a CEO, you're going to have a lot of opportunity to buy tech for pennies. So at the end of the day, I would, if you had a commission-based team, very few people are going to hit their quota, because that's the shitty part about a recession. We just came out of a great year where probably 40% of your sales team exceeded. Next
Yeah.
year is going to be 4%.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just, and people are going to work twice as hard. Everything is going to get extended, right? Your sales cycle used to be 90 days. That's one thing you may think about as a CEO. And I don't know if it's B2C, but you probably have a well-oiled machine for a sales cycle. I would tell most companies to double it, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to have more people that have to say yes. You're going to have to divide up budgets. They're going to buy in smaller pieces. It's the next 2 years are a lot of work. But again, if you survive it, you come out so much stronger on the other side.
Yeah. One of the interesting things, Michael, that I think you just mentioned was on the cost saving side, because I've always seen that with enterprise and B2B, you can sell cost savings. In our particular industry itself, and with SMB or direct to consumer, it's very difficult to sell savings on software because it's their time that they're benchmarking against. So usually you try to sell revenue of like, hey, it's going to increase your rental rates or this or that. However, I think you're right. When you look at the competitors and then you compare yourself to them, suddenly someone who might have said, ew, I didn't really care about that extra amount in my cash flow.
Yeah.
It might have not have mattered last year in their rental properties, but this year you better believe that matters when they're saying, hey, I could save $150 a month here. And that cost savings, I think, is even for SMB, something that now they are looking at. What am I paying now and what am I paying tomorrow, which in a recession makes it something that we can chase after. So I absolutely love that point. What do you think? I mean, there's the consolidation that you mentioned and companies for pennies on the dollar. This whole grow at all costs mentality that's happened in the Bay Area, it's just shifted so much that I think these companies that are just consistent revenue every single month are going to win and be able to take up and consolidate, right? All of the folks who were burning through cash and hiring too quickly and didn't have a really strong strategy. But kind of what are your thoughts in also just markets? Because you see markets, you're in Fresno, you're here in the Bay Area, you see it across the US. What do you think in that perspective?
So it's kind of two answers there. First and foremost, the CEOs of companies, your peers, if they're still leaning grow at all costs, I will grow out of this, escape velocity, whatever, they're going to be bankrupt in 6 to 9 months. This is all about burn rate. You've got to take your burn rate down to a level. You got to look for cash flow positive, because you got to survive. This will probably be 18 months to 24 months, but it could be 36. Right. So that's, you got to plan for all of that. So there are, and again, I have lots of friends still in software, and some of them are still grow at all costs. I'm like, dude, you better get your resume ready, because they're not going to be around in 9 months, right? They're not, you're going to go get a down round that you don't want, and it's going to be ugly. So that's that. As for housing, I did a video on this yesterday. First and foremost, I think housing is bottoming as far as transactions, as far as new construction, right? We went from 6.6 to 4.09. We probably have a little room to go to 3, but we're almost there. So that's good for your business, right? Because again, part of it's transactions, acquiring new units, all of that. So that's good. Second, Um, this is really good for you. Uh, I'm excited to be a buyer for the first time since like 2015. Right, the sellers have had the upper hand for 5 or 6 years,
Yeah.
and I'm buying stuff. It's never easy, right? Finding motivated sellers is not easy, but it's a hell of a lot easier today than last year.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I would. You should feel good, right? I would do it. It's being a landlord. It's going to be easier. Wall Street Journal wrote an article earlier in the week about how hard it is. It's always hard, uh, but there are great deals out there, and at least I see it on my channel. I send out these cards all the time, right? I'm seeing more and more cards come in from people doing deals. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think housing, at least at a transaction level, is bottoming a la 1981. It's not going to come out of this, right? It's not like in a V-shaped bottom. But at least we know where the bottom is and we can build from here. So generally speaking, I'm encouraged for landlords who are willing to do the work, who are focused, who have a buy box, 30-year fixed rate debt, cash flow day one. It should be good from here. I think we've seen
Yeah.
most of the pain.
Yeah, and with that buy box and locking in that interest rate, don't forget you can always refinance that.
Yeah.
But for now, you do have that upper hand on the price, which the price is something you can't change after you purchase it. So
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more that this is the year to start. If you haven't started, obviously get into it now.
Yeah.
It will be really interesting to see, because I've always found in technology, some of the best companies came through recessions, right? And you saw that as
No
well.
question.
Came
Oh
out of
yeah.
them because they were very prudent. They had a really good value proposition, and they really focused on their customers and really growing consistently and smartly. And we see that here at Hemlane. A lot of our competitors have 3-4 months of runway, and we have 3 to 4 years of runway. So it's a much different
Yeah.
story. But I do think that
Yeah. If I was leading your
yeah,
sales team with what you just said, this is what I would do. I'm a sneaky son of a gun. I would go find out those companies that have 3 or 4 months left, and I would create a bounty. I would
yeah,
say,
yeah,
I would do a bounty that says, hey, anybody that converts one of these customers, basically take dollars off their plate to my plate.
airplane, yeah,
I will pay you extra, whatever you pay, folks, $100, 200, whatever it is. For every seat every oxygen you turn off over there, I will pay you more here.
yeah.
I would again, I found weak competitors and I would turn the oxygen off and they would go away.
Yeah, no, I love it. I do think there's a lot of opportunity there. And even just talking to some of these companies, they realize they want their customers in good hands. We're like, hey, send them on
Yeah.
over to us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because the beauty of doing that strategy is a lot of those companies will save they like you won't actually get a lot of conversion, but this is what you will do. You will destroy their sales cycles. You will
yeah,
force them to discount stuff. You will force them to lower their revenue, and then they just go out of business because they don't have
yeah,
any more top line growth. It's just
yeah.
so I don't know. I'm sneaky that way. I
Yeah,
like less competition.
yeah, totally. And discounts is an interesting one, because I know in B2B it's a little bit more prominent. In
Mhm.
our space, we've very much been hey, our product's valuable, we shouldn't discount it,
No, of
right?
course, yeah.
And you should really set a standard across all customers, because if you get like, hey, I want you, I'll give you a little bit of discount, and their friends will come and say, well, I want that discount too. And
Yeah,
so
but how about play with it this way, right? I don't know any of your competitors. Company, ABC.
yeah,
You go to a client of ABC saying, "Hey, we're going to give you a one-time only 10% off for the first year. Come
yeah,
try us, or we'll give you 2 months free, blah blah blah, whatever." Right? Even if you don't convert them, you're going to force that company
yeah,
to waste cycles saving their customers.
trying to save
And
their, yeah.
yeah, and then they're distracted from new clients and they can't do R&D because they're fixing bugs. It's a great distraction.
Yeah, no, it's such a good point. I have my homework cut out for the holiday week next week.
There you go. Dana, the CEO, is gonna turn off the oxygen of a couple other competitors. I love it. Dana, where can people find Hemlane in a 90-day trial, I think?
Yeah, if you're looking for a property management, go to www.hemlane.com. And we have a 30-day free trial for you, but also 20% off your first year. You just have to mention that you came from one rental at a time. So go ahead and try us out. I always tell people the best time to try us is if you have a vacant rental, because you can go through the advertising process with us. However, if it's on the management side, it's the holidays and you're thinking, I don't want any of those repair calls. I just want a more passive property management experience. Or you're looking for a gift for someone in your family who has rental properties.
There you go.
Come talk to us, because it is probably the best gift you can give them for their rentals.
I love that idea. I love that idea. Dana, thank you so much.
Great. Thanks for having me.